And welcome back to the Miller's Edge. We're going to get right to the guest line. My man, and 50 grand. I mean, I could look at his Wikipedia and read you out all of these nice stats. He's a New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame course. He played football for the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Saints and the Panthers. A long storied career in the National Football League, but now he's one of the pretty faces on the SEC Network, breaking football down. Roman Harper, what's up, man? Sorry we're running a little bit late. We had O.J. Howard on, and he was talking about Tom Brady and all that, offensive guys. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, stuff that people like to hear about. It's all good, Corey. You're good, brother. You know you're always good with me. So, hey, anytime you want to talk offense, quarterback, people want to tune in and say more. So it is all too good. I was just glad I didn't miss somebody.
No, bro, we all good. I know you're in there getting that body right, How much you working out these days? I mean, when you having conversations and you like, man, I'm in the gym. You sound like my son. Y'all living in the gym these days.
Man, I still try and get after it 3 or 4 days a week, 5 on a good day, so a little bit of cardio on the 5th day. But, yeah, man, still trying to get after it, man. My biggest thing, Corey, is that I just want people to see me and be like, man, you look like you can still play. You got another play in you, and I'm cool with that, which I don't want to play, and I don't miss the game. That's all I want. It's just like, yeah, I just want people to think I can still do it.
Well, they tell me that, but it's because I'm fat and I look like a 3 technique. So, because I look like I'm in great shape. All right, man, let's get right to it, brother. I mean, this week football starts in college football. Vanderbilt, I believe, is the only SEC team that's playing. They're playing Hawaii. But, man, how excited are you that now you guys been in the studio, you got media days, you got all this stuff. It's talking season, but the fact now we got some real football that's going to be played.
I'm really excited. Look, this is my 4th year covering the SEC, and this is probably the most excited I've been going into a season. Number one, because I actually know what I'm talking about, and I'm confident in the things that I see and my eyes are telling me, and I'm no longer just reading information from Phil Steele's college preseason books and because you start reading all those things, their opinions become your opinions. And you're like, hold on, am I just repeating what I just read? And so I don't get into that. I don't get into the weeds of all that other stuff anymore. I just know what I see, and I'm okay with that. And the other thing that has me excited is the diversity in which the SEC will bring this year. I think they got 2 or 3 teams on the West that could be contenders. Georgia on the East, but I don't know if Georgia just goes undefeated, and we all know how hard it is to continue to repeat, and let alone three-peat. And so it's just really hard to do. I want to see more and more of that. I think other teams will continue to challenge and push. And if you look at last year's Georgia schedule, and we don't have to talk about Georgia's schedule this year because it's completely cake, but last year's schedule, nobody would have said Missouri was going to be the team that played them the best. And so that's what it is. Every Saturday, you got to be able to show up with emotionally, physically, and mentally prepared to go out there and win a game and put your best foot forward. Because if you don't, in the SEC, you will get popped.
You will. Roman, I appreciate you joining us. Christian, by the way. I want to ask you, what's your outlook? You're an Alabama guy. What's your outlook on Alabama? I want to hear a defensive perspective, right? You mentioned the offensive guys. That's all we're hearing. We hear all these quarterbacks break stuff down. But from your eyes, what's your outlook on Alabama, and what can we expect this upcoming season?
So I appreciate it, Christian, man. First of all, you're talking about a handsome dude. I mean, I've traveled the road. They're like, man, this guy's
come on, not you. I get this all the time.
I'm just telling you what I'm hearing, all right, on the other side of it, okay? So I'm just trying to stay ahead of that.
Appreciate it,
all right,
my guy.
Anyway, I'm just trying to say, I think it's the hair, bro. You got stuff everybody can't. Everybody can't just.
I'm writing you a man law ticket too after the show. Respect.
Come on, man. Alabama brothers, man. It's all good, man. You know what I mean? We gotta protect and respect each other. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is.
That's all it is. But all right, so on Alabama. All right, their O-line should be really good this year, right? They got a couple, the Booker kid, J.C. Latham. Like, these guys have been in the ropes. Like, they know what it's like to play ball on the big level, and they need to take that next step. I love J.C. Latham. His attitude, the words in which he spoke about at media days, talking about, look, I am going to be the best offensive lineman in college. I'm coming for the outlet. I'm coming for this. Like, I love confident talk. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, especially during talking season. I hate when everybody plays it close to the vest. I love that attitude, right? That confidence usually carries over. So the offensive line will be better. the running back situation is really good at Alabama. They're probably 3, 4, 5 deep, and they're confident with all these guys toting the rock. So that's another really good problem to have. The wide receivers, I don't know if they have any superstars, but I do know they got some really good players all throughout that room with a lot of experience. Experience matters on Saturdays, and so and all you really have is the question mark is in the quarterback room, and that's going to be Nick Saban's decision. I know Tommy Rees is going to call plays, but Nick's making the decision on who's going to play, when they play, and also about I don't like you making those play calls, and I'll change that too. But I just don't know enough about that. And at the end of the day, Christian, Nick Saban has earned the right to make whatever decision he wants. He hasn't gotten many wrong since he's been on campus. And you just got to trust that fact. Like, in Nick, we trust. And just move on from there and understand that the best players have always played at Alabama, no matter what year, what class. Like, if you're doing the right things on and off the field, you're going to have a chance there. And he makes you he holds you accountable to those things. And on the defensive side of the football, they did not create turnovers last year. And I thought they got too much into the weeds of the schematics at times. Like, when you got a guy like Will Anderson and Dallas Turner, just green light these dudes and let them go whoop somebody up front. Like, I don't need you to always scheme up a pass rush where we got, he's twisting here. We got another outsider here to keep contained. And, the line, two toes, like blitzing in one of the A-gaps to pick a guy. I'm like, we just don't need all that. Why don't you just let these guys go? And so I think the schematics of it should probably dial it back a little bit. Guys know where their eyes need to be at. You need to know where your feet need to be at and understand, like, that's how you play really good defense is as a team. And so I think if they get back to doing those things, and for me it's going to be all about the optics of operation for Alabama early in the season. Christian, is the quarterback taking care of the football? Do they look dominant up front on both sides of the football, like whooping people, like what I'm used to seeing Alabama used to do? Are they running the ball with purpose and a physicality behind them? The running back's shoulders being downhill, not sideways early before he goes downhill. And on defense, are they causing turnovers? If they're doing those things, Alabama will be really good this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that, man. And I love how you break it down. And you're not doing like some of these analysts. They get too technical and too smart. I'm like, man, just watch the film. You know the game. Watch the film and tell me what you think. Roman Harper,
That's it.
yes, yeah, that's all you got to do on the Miller's Edge. I got to ask you: are you thinking Chalk could get in the SEC? Do you think Alabama could lose 2 games and miss the SEC championship again? Miss the college football playoffs? And Georgia, you mentioned the cake schedule. Or is there somebody that you like in the SEC East and or West that you feel like could sneak up on somebody?
So I look. I love LSU starting 22. Right, love it. They got some ballers. Best defensive line with Mekhi Wingo and Mason Smith coming back off of injury. Like, love those 2 guys. Love Harold Perkins. He is a game record, one of the top players in all of college football. But the thing about, and they're good on the other side too. Malik Neighbors, Jaden Daniels, even Garrett Nussmeier is the backup quarterback. Like, they're good. But the thing that I got to question, though, and Brian Kelly's an excellent coach, is that, they lost to Florida State last year, and everybody just threw them away with they just threw them out of the trash. And all of a sudden, they just kept piling wins. And then you look up, they beat Alabama, and now they're here. They arrived. And then after they beat Alabama, they did not play good. Like, once they were on everybody else's radar and they could not sneak up on anybody more, they didn't play good. Mm-hmm. And so this year you come out and you're not sneaking up on anybody. Everybody's expecting LSU to be great. And so was last year's success a little too early and they're not ready to back it up with another great performance? Or is this who LSU is going to be going forward? That question is still yet to be determined. I'll know after the first 5 weeks who LSU is. We'll know exactly who LSU is after the first 5 weeks. They got Ole Miss, they got Mississippi State on the road, they got Florida State, and they got Arkansas. So, like, we're going to know who they are very early. And then after that, we'll be able to see. But they got to win that game versus Florida State if they want to do some things. And Florida State needs to gain more because not only are they playing for their relevancy in the playoffs, but also for the whole ACC to have some kind of say, hey, look, we're a real conference this year. We deserve to have a spot in the 14 playoffs. Florida State needs to win that game. So it's going to be really important. LSU is a threat, but I'm taking Alabama as of right now because it's at home. And I think home field matters so much more in college football because you're dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who can get rattled, pretty easily, whether it's a girlfriend breaking up with them or they don't have their eyes in the right spot.
That's true. That's true. Roman, like yourself, I played Alabama, played with the Panthers, and as you know, we just got Bryce Young. He was drafted number 1 overall. Just real quick, what are your expectations for him? I know in the preseason so far, the offensive line has not really gave him too much of a chance, and that's been my concern since he was drafted there.
Offensive line.
Offensive line is struggling in Carolina. But what are your expectations for Bryce as he, starts his career with the Panthers? They are terrible. Look, man, I mean, they're not great, but
just call like you said, terrible.
Okay, fair. They're terrible. In his words, they're terrible. What are your expectations for Bryce as he starts his career in Carolina?
Honestly, I think Bryce is going to win Offensive Player of the Year. I thought that they would show better in the first 2 preseason games. They haven't looked good. It's been kind of scary. It's like, all right, we need to get Bryce out because he's getting hit on a little bit. The receivers and everybody's not in the same position where everybody needs to be at. So it's some fine tuning and some young problems. But I don't question Bryce. I went to the practice, Christian, where they played against the Jets, and I saw him complete the pass the same way I saw him all in his career at Alabama. And it's like, I don't care about completing a 50-yard pass on the outside one-on-one, throwing a 9 route. Like, I'm not as impressed with those throws as I am on throwing in tight windows, 12 to 18 yards down the field over the middle of the field. Like, completing those passes, because that's what the NFL is. It's like tight windows, anticipation, throwing it before he's open, and completing it right over the ball. Like, that is hard. And so you have to be able to do those, and he does those with brilliance. And the one play that I saw Bryce do, it wasn't even one of those. I saw him do that a couple times, but, it was blitz period. So, all 11 on 11, and the Jets send a blitz on him. The offensive line kind of picks it up. They kind of like push the pressure outside. He climbs the pocket really well, looks downfield, and all of a sudden he just turned his shoulders to his right and kind of like a sidearm, underarm throws it out to Tommy Tremble over the bottom flat, and nobody's out there. Because as everybody, that as you look down the field later on the down, the defense is going to collapse to where the quarterback's looking more inside. That's where they're trying to get to. He finds the guy laid outside to the flat, where most quarterbacks, especially young ones, are never going to get all the way to that 5th or 4th option, all the way out there to the sideline. And he was able to do that, and Tremble's running down the field for 12 yards because nobody's even close to him. So, like, plays like that, I see him like, that's, like, really good, right? Nobody gets to that 4th, 5th option in the play call. And when he normally would maybe try and scramble or do something else, most quarterbacks do, he's like, no, keep it alive, extend the play, and then I extend to throw it and not just extend it to run. So those are the simple things that he does well. And all I keep hearing about on the radio is how he just doesn't look like a first overall pick. And that's what everybody's talking about. Can they keep him healthy? Will he stay healthy? He doesn't look like this. And I'm just like, look, I would have a problem if he was 6'2" and shrunk to 5'10". But, like, he only grew to 5'10". Like, that's it. Like, and he's been that way since high school. And he was the number 1 player in high school. Yep. He was the number 1 player in college. And I'm just like, he's just a natural winner with a great mindset. And if they give him the weapons around him to be successful, he will be successful.
He's going to be good, man. And listen, we're going to get together, brother. I'm just down the road in Columbia and come check you out, man. And I hope you join us again. We can do more of this because I was just visualizing Bryce doing that when you talk about sitting with that sidearm throw to Charlie check down, Tommy Tremble in the flat. So you made that just become real to me, and I appreciate it, man. We appreciate all you do at the SEC Network, man, and the great work that you're doing, podcasts and every other thing that you got going on, man. We just want to say thank you for giving us a little bit of your time.
Hey, Corey, Christian, man, thank you guys. Appreciate you letting me join the Miller Hour, man. Like, anytime. You guys know you're a family, so anytime. I'd love to come on.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Roman.
Appreciate you, brother. Roman out.